lot of issues already as soon as we started the ride. First of all, these brakes are not that strong. They are very soft. In fact, for this scooter, front and back are drum brakes, just like in Ola S1 Air and S1X Plus. But in those scooters, brakes were slightly stronger. But in this, it is very soft. In fact, in terms of acceleration also, it is very soft in the normal mode. It almost feels like eco mode in S1 Air and S1X Plus. And as if these two are not sufficient, there are a lot of issues we started to observe as soon as we started the ride. And we will explore those issues slowly as we go along the ride. As soon as we reach the highway, we are going to do experiment on those issues and demonstrate to you exactly. So far we rode for 8.3 kilometers and 89% of charge is remaining. At this rate, it seems like we are gonna get a range of 75 to 80 kilometers. But when we started the ride, it was showing on the dashboard that we will get a range of 100 kilometers in normal mode. Feels slightly over optimistic, but from my experience of riding Ola scooters, it feels like it can go till that 100 kilometers of range, because as soon as the charge reaches 15% and below, the scooter switches to eco mode, which is very slow, and the normal mode in the scooter itself is very slow. Eco mode is gonna be very slow. Today we have a pillion also along with us. So with a pillion, how much range we are gonna get, we'll figure that out today. See, I applied both the brakes now, and now the accelerator is not working and the motor is on. It is not working. So for this accelerator to work again, you are gonna pull the rear brake and release it, and then the accelerator will start to work. Imagine having this situation in the middle of the road. I think the wiring in this rear brake has some issue. It works sometimes, it doesn't work sometimes, and now it's not working again, and now it's working. Now let's check the acceleration of normal mode in this road. In 3, 2, 1. Come on. Full throttle now. 20, 25, very slow acceleration. It doesn't feel like the actual normal mode that we experienced in S1 Pro and S1 Air scooters. Right? This is not that normal mode. It feels like a downgraded version of it, which probably stays between eco mode and the normal mode of S1 Pro. And this is Ola S1x 3 kWh, which comes at an on-road price of 95,000 rupees in Bangalore. And in the same S1x variant, there are two more versions, 2 kWh and 4 kWh, a range of 20 kilometers less or 20 kilometers more, at a price difference of 10,000 rupees. And the customer of this scooter got 3 kWh depending upon his range requirements for his city commute. Range update. So far we have rode for 23.3 kilometers and 70% of charge is left. At this rate, it now feels like we hardly can get a range of 75 kilometers. But the dashboard still claims that at this charge left of 70%, we can get a range of 70 kilometers, 1 kilometer for 1% of charge, which we haven't got so far in this scooter in this ride. And the coasting regeneration also so far doesn't seem like it got strong. We are onto the highway now. Coasting regeneration, top speed, acceleration, everything we are gonna test now. In terms of build quality, this scooter, Ola S1x and X Plus scooter build quality feels much better, simply because unlike S1 Pro and S1 Air, there is no huge hollow space here, which will come with a huge dashboard, and all that structure is not present in this. It's a very small console. In fact, you hardly feel some hollow spaces in the front thanks to not having that dashboard. But the overall build quality is not that great. You won't have the confident ride. In fact, even if you ride with a single hand, you won't have a confident ride at all in this, to be very honest. But in comparison with S1 Pro and S1 Air, you will have a comfortable ride. Flyover is going down now. As soon as we start to go downhill, we'll release the accelerator and see the strength of the coasting regeneration. And from my experience of riding other Ola scooters, when the charge drops from 100% to 90%, the coasting regeneration will be very weak. And from 90% to 80%, feels like it is starting up, and below 80%, it goes very strong. It just gets stronger and stronger. But in this scooter, so far, we haven't experienced any stronger coasting regeneration yet. And now we have 65% of charge left. And till now, there is no strong regeneration at all. Alright, ready? In 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 25, 26. Almost it took 26 seconds to come from 70 kmph to this speed. Not a stronger coasting regeneration. And as the charge drops, let's see how it gets. Road feels very empty. How about trying the top speed? In 3, 2, 1. Full throttle. Very soft acceleration. Almost feels like acceleration of Chetak Urban. 35, 38, 40. There is hardly a jerk. Very soft acceleration. It feels like this scooter is customized for traffic conditions. Of course, the range also. Because even with this softer acceleration, it feels like the range will be as less as 70 or 75. So I think keeping that in mind, they must have reduced the acceleration strength in the scooter. 68, 70. In fact, this is the type of acceleration that I prefer. A softer acceleration. Alright, let's now try in sports mode. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Full throttle. Now there is a slight jerk. Wow, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 70, 80, 84, 85, 87, 88, come on, 90, 91. Wow, If you need some adrenaline rush in this scooter S1X, then sports mode it is, man. Very strong acceleration. Of course, not as strong as in S1 Air or the hyper mode of S1 Pro, but you will enjoy the acceleration in this. It's very good. The one issue which I'm constantly observing in every model is the brakes. The ergonomics of it, especially in this model, there is very uncomfortable angle between accelerator and the brake. If you compare this with other scooters like Chetak, Ather, River Indy, the handlebar is slightly high. So the arm won't be in the proper relaxed posture, it will be slightly above. And now because the handlebar is slightly above, you'll have to grab the accelerator bar like this. And when you do that, at your wrist, after some time you might feel some pressure. In this scooter, it particularly feels more. It's because the brake levers are very tight and very hard. It's because of two reasons. One, the brake lever is hard, and second, the brakes are very poor. The front and back are the drum brakes, and which are not that strong. If you want to slow your scooter down or if you want to stop your scooter, you'll have to grab the brakes much stronger to generate some stopping force, and you will have really uncomfortable ride, especially at your wrist. And on top of that, as soon as you apply both the brakes together, all of a sudden the accelerator will stop working, and it is not consistent at all. First I thought that it might be a safety feature, but it is not working every single time. And the scooter's owner told me that when he took the scooter to the service center, the staff told him in this rear brake there is a sensor and there is some issue in that, and that has to be fixed, but that they haven't fixed yet. And in fact, this is not an old scooter to have these issues. This is brand new scooter. The odometer reading is 330 kilometers. Very new scooter, hardly a month old, and there are issues in this scooter. If you also own an Ola S1x and if you face any issues, please do let us know in the comments below. So far we rode for 36.3 kilometers and 50% of charge is left. And Ola has finally, at least in this model, have redesigned the handle buttons from those rubbery, squishy, unresponsive buttons. Oops, what happened here? Puncher. Okay. Those squishy rubbery buttons in S1 Air and S1 Pro, I hated those. These feel really good and these give a solid response. And these buttons here feel very comfortable because they are not complicated and they are not cluttered also. It is well spaced buttons. With these buttons, it is easy to build some kind of muscle memory for these switches. But the compromise with this is that there are not many customizations and not many features that come from these handle buttons. And you get only the fundamentals. To be honest, if you ask me, these are enough. To the right side you have the reverse gear, cruise control and a knob to change the driving modes, and to the left side you have the headlight switch, indicator and the honk. Simple. This is enough, right? Compromise from S1 Air, S1 Pro and this is the Bluetooth features, and number 2, an advantage, there are no more complicated buttons. This is very simple layout and simple switches. I really think that the dashboard handle of S1 Pro and S1 Air is actually a downgraded handle in comparison with this handle. But the feedback that I got from the scooter owner is that these buttons, as promising as they seem, there are issues also, especially the reverse gear and the cruise control, and he said you have to press it harder so that it will start to work. To be honest, I really like this type of switches, and I wish in the upcoming scooter versions of Ola they upgrade the switches to this type of handle buttons, not those rubbery buttons. And these side mirrors, these round side mirrors, to be very honest, they are of no use or minimal use. You can either see the far approaching vehicles or you can see the closer to your scooter vehicles, and in fact in that also you can't see the complete information, simply because in this side mirror at least 25-30% is covered just by our shoulder, and if you turn the side mirror making sure you are not in the mirror, then you can't see the vehicles which is closer to you. And the owner of the scooter is trying to get third-party side mirrors to get those fixed on the scooter, and he was removing one of the side mirrors, and in the meantime I went there and I got the scooter for this range test. Okay, now down to the last 20% of charge, and dashboard claims that 21 kilometers is still possible on the scooter. But as soon as the scooter reaches 16% or 17%, the scooter will drop to eco mode, and from then we will have to ride very slow. Already the scooter is very slow in normal mode. I guess in eco mode it will be extremely slow. Okay, now we are down to the last 10% of charge, and the house from here is 10 kilometers away, and dashboard claims that we can get a range of 10 kilometers exactly with this 10% of charge. 10% of charge is left, 10 kilometers of range is possible, and we have to go for 10 kilometers. 10 is left. Again, accelerator is not working. As soon as I applied both the brakes, see, again it is not working, and I had to squeeze and release the rear brake again for it to work. Fortunately, we were in the corner of the road, else it would have been fatal or dangerous. Coasting regeneration even now is not very strong, but when you compare with what was the strength of it at the start of the ride, in comparison to that, this is slightly stronger. And in fact, the manual regeneration also is not that strong. It can slow your scooter slightly, but not as strong as to stop the scooter as it does in other models. Last 6% of charge is left, and dashboard shows that only 4 kilometers of range is possible now, and the house is 5.6 kilometers away away from here. And let's try to maintain this speed consistently, and whenever we want to slow, let's regenerate the scooter. 2 kilometers of range left, and now the range estimate is dropping really fast. This wasn't expected. It was showing 10 kilometers of range estimate with charge of 10%, and the house was 10 kilometers away, and after that the range drop is massive. And now only 5% of charge left, but 2 kilometers of range left. And from here the house is 5 kilometers away, 4% of charge is left, and 1 kilometer of range is left. There is a charger here 800 meters away. Let's try to see if we can reach there at least. And from here the charger is roughly 300 or 400 meters away. We want to reach there. Right now we have 4% of charge left and still 1 kilometer of range left, but as soon as the charge reaches 3%, the scooter will stop abruptly. It happens with every Ola scooter. As soon as it reaches 3%, to avoid deep discharge, the scooter will just turn off. So we have to make sure the charge won't drop to 3%. Okay, the 100% to 0% of range test in Ola S1x with pillion is now completed. In terms of performance, in normal mode the ride was very smooth and very comfortable. In sports mode we had a slightly jerky ride, and in eco mode as usual it was very slow and very soft acceleration. But in terms of brakes, there are 3 issues. One, the front and rear drum brakes, they are very slow and very soft. They won't have that stronger stopping force. And second, as soon as you touch the brakes, the accelerator will cut off and you will have a jerky ride as a result of it. If you hold both the brakes at once, the accelerator will stop working and you have to grab the rear brake again and release it for the accelerator to function again. And third, the coasting regeneration is not as strong as you expect. It is very sluggish. It won't help your braking distance. And of course, in terms of range estimate, you can't trust the Ola scooters as usual. If you are riding with a pillion, expect a 15 to 20% of difference in your range that you get. In our range test with pillion in normal mode in Ola S1x 3 kWh, we got a range of 79 kilometers.